Talon start off on the offense, though. No holds barred. It's going to be another triple DPS composition for them.
They want to test out the capability of the defense, okay? They see there's no Ryan, so it's not just going to be a free win for Bashful on the far. It means they will need to put in a little bit more work, but still a lot of work on the Cyclone coupling side of things as well, because they have a lot of DPSs to try and shut down while still contesting the point.
And already GCG's getting picked off, Fallen as well. Just pressured out, and honestly, there's not a lot that Cyclone Coupling can really do at this point. It's all going to be about trying to slow down Talon. The point is all but forfeit. By the way, worth noting, Bashful is in now over Padapan, which means Talon have now played with every potential configuration of DPS.
And this is where now just a little bit of cleanup. I say cleanup, but there's a amount of trades for Cyclone Coupling as well. And now you're in a world where if they can get an amount of reinforcements and they cancel defend, and Talon may have overstepped here. Specifically, Bashful didn't need to get that aggressive.
Yeah, Gagora's ended up swapping onto Doomfist because they wanted to try keep the skirmish going here, and that also might end up being a little costly if Gagora doesn't get much out of it. Also, 0.2% just shy of the second third. A bit of a tough break.
It will be, but here comes the ultimates now. Big minefield in play.
Use takes a lot of chunks, but honestly, with the EMP laid on top, there's very little Cyclone Coupling can do about this. They were at least able to rebuff Talon that once, but on balance, Talon end up getting the point.
This is where now they do get a big cleanup, and using the ultimates here is not too bad because they kind of want to look to swap anyway eventually down the line. So if that happens on B, happens on B. If they want to try and get a little bit more momentum out of their picks before they swap, that's also something they can opt into. However, for Cyclone Coupling, once this Graviton Surge comes into play, no good defense against that one. Whoever is caught in the grab possibly will die.
Gora's actually sticking to this Doomfist. I mean, yeah, sure, you're close to ultimate, but I don't think that's really factoring in. This does actually seem to be something Talon want to run. Again, Bashful finds an entry frag onto GCGG. Gagora wraps around the side, finishes off Fallen. And Cyclone Coupling are already getting dismantled here.
And it's just about getting the party started for Talon Esports. One pick turns into two picks, and now Cyclone Coupling are committed, trying to get out of this one and saving what members they do have remaining.
Meteor Strike was quite nice there. It sort of forced Cyclone Coupling to be careful position-wise. They end up positioning smartly such that Gagora doesn't get any value out of the ultimate itself, but Talon end up getting a lot of free space, so it's kind of a win either way.
It will still be defendable for Cyclone Coupling, so they do come back and finally with that Graviton Surge. Again, if it lands on certain members, those members will go down.
Nice hack on MG. Oh, keeping Lee Chang Soon disrupted as much as possible, but the grab does still come down, and in it, Gagora will find his demise, but Bashful will hit back, gets 2 kills. Self-destruct is going to be able to get Bashful down. He was slept and couldn't quite get up in time. Went to bed, bumped his head and couldn't get up in the morning. Hughes does get raised back in and does in the minefield. So Talon decided they want to commit to this. They want to stick with it. And with Gagora coming back, plus the EMP out from Apudo, it's looking like that decision is going to pay off big time if they complete the cap.
Yeah, this is really important now because Cyclone Coupling, they could have still defended a little bit longer. Their ultimates are better, more impactful. Talon Esports, so because they got 2 in a row now, they're looking to see how much further they can do with this composition before they absolutely force a swap.
Nice timing on the stun there on Muse, just to delay the potential value. It means you don't get the knock up on the pile driver, and you saw Gagora weaving in on the Doomfist would have tried to take advantage of that. So Cyclone Coupling stopped that one at least.
And this is where, okay, Nano probably gets played onto Fallen here. Cyclone Coupling can afford to get quite aggressive. There's no more ultimates available for Talon Esports. There's not a lot there. And Talon cannot be allowed to take initiative because every time they do, they get a pick.
Like the hack onto Fallen there, it does just hamper his mobility. And oh, Gagora getting slept is brilliant there. Nice fingers there from GCGG, and Cyclone Coupling are going to start forcing Talon back now. And for the first time, Talon are going to have to really cede some space.
And I think this could be a big punish for Talon if they are looking to, okay, staying on here delays them swapping onto a proper 3-3. Swapping onto a 3-3 now removes their ability to use these ultimates, which they have been charging, in which case you're debating that they should have swapped it as soon as they cap B anyway. So no matter which way you look at this, it doesn't look pretty for Talon. They've kind of gone for a halfway thing here where they just want to use a rocket barrage on 1 kill. Kind of worth it, I guess.
It ends up being Fallen a little overextended, actually. Grab going to come out. EMP is still available. They need to keep these members alive, though, and that is easier said than done. That is where the potential punish comes in, and unfortunately it means they probably can't get much done with that EMP on Apudo. Bashful, I imagine, will change up here.
So this is the recovery phase for Talon Esports. I say that as they have the EMP available, the realistically one big ultimate that remains from their multiple triple DPS composition outside of the barrage that was already used. Fallen wants to use a primer before swapping onto Ryan, so that's one bit of recovery still indeed required for Cyclone Coupling before they're at full strength as well. But Talon Esports don't have the momentum anymore. They are no longer snowballing through to C. This is where you can expect them to lose a lot of time before maybe they catch.
Oh, again, a brilliant catch onto Fallen there, and now this is a EMP for free onto 5 potential members. Only gets 2 of them, but there's no defensive ultimates on the rest anyway. They haven't quite found the kills. They have driven them back, made some space, and they need to actually finish that off. Wow! Getting the headshot inside the healing space was pretty nice catch there for Apudo, and now the cart starts to roll towards the terminus, with Cyclone coupling not really getting much back against Talon yet.
So if this goes a little bit longer, Talon will have ultimates available. Here comes Muse, Shatters in play.
Yeah, Fallen goes down once again, so there's not even really a hope of blocking that. Self-destruct doesn't get what they need out from MG, and the sound barrier has now expired. It will only be the nano boost from GCGG, and he probably wants that onto Fallen, but unfortunately can't. Fallen wasn't quite out of the base in time, so it goes on to Lee Chang soon instead. Will allow them to charge him a grab, which they now throw down. CQB just shouting, sound barrier, only committing it now. And that's double layer support ultimates. Talon are really going to have to make that worth their while, because they've actually got less members here. They're now retreating, and that ends up being a bit of a disaster.
Triple support ultimates for the rally on top as well. The EMP available. Talon just need to get all their members back alive. Here comes Muso. As he rejoins, you can expect the big EMP plays to come through. Nothing to defend this one. No sound barriers, no other support ultimates. Just a clean Cyclone coupling waiting to be caught.
Nicely done, and this is where Talon did not let their foot off the gas pedal. It's still a 1-for-1 though, as Muse goes down, getting GCGG keeps things in their favor. MG now as well, and Talon, it looks like even without Muse, they should be able to finish off these last remaining members. And it's just Lee Chang-soon who has been so instrumental in a lot of these win fights for Cyclone coupling. But once he's down, not really much left to go on.
So an expected triple cap pair to finish the entire map. C was a little bit more contentious than the other points here. We did see on A, okay, they kind of got pushed back slightly, but continued that engagement. Gagora goes on the Doomfist, going on top of B. That was just basically a complete snowball roll through, slight slowdowns maybe at some points, but ultimately they were definitely in their lead the entire time. Going on to C is where they lost most of their time, because they weren't disciplined enough to just make quick swaps onto a 3-3. They kind of sat around a little bit, waited for this barrage to come through. Yes, they did catch Fallen, but okay, Bashful's not really going to push through with the fire anyway, so difficult to utilize that specific player advantage. So doesn't end up being super useful, and they just take a long time to actually recover their ultimates, recover their momentum, to finish capping, which leaves them with 1:17 on the clock, still reasonable, but a far cry from what would have been a much more impressive time had they, in my opinion, swapped the lot sooner.
You also saw them mostly using EMP before the rocket barrage, which allowed it to get a lot more valuable and, sorry, a lot more value, I should say. That was one of the few fights where that didn't happen, but at any rate, maybe for Talon all's well that ends well, because they do at least complete it. And they did have a lot of success holding off Cyclone coupling back on Assault. Let's see how well that applies to Numbani.
And that's the thing, because it is a little bit of nitpicking here and saying, okay, they could have done this better on the attack, but that will only really apply if Cyclone coupling can actually finish the map themselves, and we go into a time bank scenario, and then for Talon Esports, that's when that 1:17 really matters. For Talon though, if they can make a hold happen on either A, B, or C, we're not going to see that at all.
Bit of an opening spray there from Maputo. Doesn't get too much health charge, mostly sniffed out and forced away. Talon are running same kind of team comp here, really.
Which will be difficult for them to find a proper engagement. Likely they'll have to go back to spawn here. Fallen will have to change. If they can maybe find a kill, they can snowball onto the point, but unlikely.
That was a really nice Bionade as well, just snaking it in behind Fallen's shield, and he's barely walking out of this. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Apudo was on an angle to finish that off. Not quite going to be able to find that, but yeah, forces Cyclone coupling back.
And there's just no real way for Cyclone coupling to find a fight, because so many mobile members on the Talon side, if they want to charge in, Bashful, or rather Muse and Gagor, they just run away. They force the engagement somewhere else. They let Bashful do all the damage here. Apudo's on the flank as well. It's just too difficult. Ling Chang-soon now on a McCree will have a little bit more pressure, specifically against both the DPSs of Talon.
I like this, just a small change, but ideally an impactful one. Talon are coming up on some ultimates before long, though, and that's going to be what Cyclone coupling still have to contend with. I like the use of the nano boost just to leverage the fight to get these other ultimates available, but they're even getting kills off that, so pretty high value there for Talon.
And this is where you look at Mango Jai. He's finding the angles for the Bionades, and this is with a Diva on the opposing end. Cyclone coupling shouldn't be allowing a lot of these abilities to go through. It's really hampering their ability to push, and we're now about 1:30 off the clock.
Talon just sitting pretty. Holding on to all the keys, and that's going to be a nice EMP. Good timing from GCGG, but unfortunately the DPS of the Rocket Barrage is still enough to kill off these members, and that's exactly the fight that Talon have been gearing up for.
It's actually awkward timing from Apudo, but he makes it work because GCGG popped the Transcendence reasonably early, not expecting the EMP. He just wanted to heal up his members, but Apudo sees the opportunity. He sees a clumped up team of Cyclone Coupling Souls, sees that, okay, this is going to be a 5-man minimum EMP outside of the Transcendence and Yada players, so we're going to go for this one. We're going to push on to them. We're going to get the kills regardless. Rack up the Rocket Barrage as well. The Transcendence healing is not going to save you from that.
By the way, it was a good D-mech on Gagora, but unfortunately Lee Chang-soon died so late. Gagora's back in the mech anyway, and again, this forward pressure from Bashful and Apudo, even getting picks before Cyclone Coupling are ready to start moving towards the point. This is ridiculous.
So what you also see is Cyclone Coupling are not being allowed to actually set up on the high ground. This is where you want your team to be. If you are running the McCree, you want to give him the sight lines, but because you don't go to the high ground, you have Talon Esports constantly throwing ultimates at you, constantly gatekeeping that door, Rocket Barrages, EMPs, Primal Rages, all of it. You just can never get Lee Chang-soon up to where he wants to play.
Cyclone Coupling do finally approach with a number of ultimates at their disposal, but they need to be wary of an EMP nearly available for Apudo. And again, they're going to try and leverage the nano boost, by the time towards the ultimate, but they might not even need the EMP at this rate. They've already found one with the Rocket Barrage. They've still got more to lean into. And now it is EMP time, as Cyclone Coupling will have to wait for Fallen anyway.
It's just so hard to push into. They can't find any members here. You see Lee Chang-soon unable to even walk through the door, because if he does, he gets popped straight away. Wants to probably use the Deadeye at some point as well, but look at this door control by Talon.
Yeah, it's like, how are you ever going to have the kind of open space to channel a Deadeye? And even then, it's not the most high impact of ultimates. Best case scenario, it forces some people away from the point. Speaking of away, Apudo manages to get a hack onto MG, going to take the deep out of the picture for a hot second. The EMP comes in, that's some nice connection. Lee Chang-soon's Deadeye really didn't get anything done there. No one dead just yet, though, on Cyclone Coupling. They have weathered the storm. And
that's important, because now the EMP is off the table, but the time is against them. 10 seconds remaining, which means not only do they have to set up on the high ground, they've got to touch the point as well.
Muse popped Primal Rage as well, so there's even less to work with. The Carmen maybe that a brilliant sleep on Fallen. He's already dead. Now nano boost onto Muse. He can just run down Lee Chang-soon. That's a freebie. Jumps back in onto the point to look to clean up these remaining members. He sees Jackie on the ground, goes, oh, someone else will deal with that. Red Fox goes down on the high ground. Now he turns his attention to Jackie and MG, and honestly, there is no way in here for Cyclone Coupling. I thought that Talon weren't going to be able to have as much success on the full hold as they did on Temple of Anubis, but I am glad to have been proven wrong. It is another shutout for Talon.
And this is where you look at Talon Esports and you have to go for nitpicking their mistakes, because there's so few of them. There's so few places where they're not playing optimally, but it still doesn't matter. They are still winning. We did not make it to time bank. All of the sections between B and C, not the cleanest for Talon Esports, but also doesn't matter when they hold A and do not allow Cyclone Coupling to even progress the map. It's now been 2 full holds in a row, 2 100% back-to-backs on Busan, 3-0 on the map score here as well, and you got to think the 4-0 is imminent.
I mean, absolutely you do. And I mean, at this point, you look at the one stage of Busan that they dropped, and that's the only smirch on the record here. They didn't even give up a tick on either Numbani or Temple of Anubis. Now, look, yeah, the time bank on Numbani wasn't as ridiculous as the one on Temple of Anubis, but it's still just so incredibly one-sided. We'll have to see now what they're capable of doing on Havana, where you don't have that same static point. How far forward can they hold Cyclone Coupling?
And you also look at Talon and their understanding of the matchups and the way they're predicting the matchups as well, in terms of analyzing their opponents. They look at Cyclone Coupling, they know this is a team that has moved away from a DPS-centric kind of identity into more of a standard 3-3 identity. Cyclone Coupling, with all the members that they've swapped out, with all the sort of roster rebuilding they've done over the course of a season and a couple of weeks now, they've done so moving towards a specific direction that Talon is now exploiting, saying, if you are going in that direction, we are expecting a lot of 3-3 to come out of you. This is how we are going to tailor our strategy specifically against you, and it is working more than a charm. You can just see the look of absolute despair and confusion and their inability for Cyclone Coupling to find any answers.
And look, again, this isn't even feeling like Cyclone Coupling are like a bad team or they're having issues or anything. Like, it doesn't feel like there's that element of instability that has been there, both even last week and, of course, in Season 1 with that revolving door of main tank players. This feels a lot more stable. I think the reality is Talon just outclassed them. And I think that's going to be true for a lot of teams, if not all other teams. In this season of Pacific Contenders. Talon are just that good. They do seem to be a cut above the rest right now.
And that's the thing, because it becomes hard to really fault Cyclone Coupling in many ways, because this could be any other team. Substitute them for basically 7 of the other teams.
Yeah.
Maybe you say 6 and you leave Nova MS as a bit of a question mark still. But those other 6 teams, any one of them would have probably been in the same scenario, unable to really answer Talon Esports. Maybe some of them would have done slightly better, then would have gotten held on B anyway. This is now just unfortunate for every other team, just a competition to see who can last the longest, who can survive here against Talon Esports, because it feels like survival. It doesn't feel like you can actually beat them.
It also feels like Talon are just locked in this game of like King of the Hill, right? Where they currently have the crown and they need to beat off all attackers. And the reason I say that is, you know, we touched on it at the top of the season. They won that slot in Pacific Showdown. They want to make sure that they're the ones who go to Gauntlet. They want to see the fruits of their own labor.
And they're going to look for that 4-0 to keep their map score perfect here. 1 more to go. It will be on Escorts. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Welcome to Watchpoint Gibraltar. This is Escort. 2 teams face off as either defenders or attackers. This is the payload. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to escort the payload along a set path containing 3 checkpoints. The payload only moves forward when an attacker stands near it. Defenders can delay the payload's movement by standing nearby at the same time. To get moving again, attackers must clear away the defenders by force. Every time the payload reaches a checkpoint, the attackers score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. If even one attacker is near the payload when the clock runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until the attackers are either cleared off the payload or they gain more time by reaching a checkpoint. The round ends when the payload reaches the destination or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points and escorts the payload farthest wins.
So here we go, Havana being played again the second time so far, the second day I should say, in Contenders here. And we saw a little bit of, you know, in terms of the matches on day 1 and week 2, how teams want to approach this one. Still a lot of 3-3 as you would expect, a little bit of bunker here and there, some are being played here and there. It's very much the same type of compositions and matchups that we've seen across most of the other types of maps here, but the layout of the maps are quite interesting. I don't know, we haven't seen much of that C point. What we have seen the C point was very short because teams have, you know, either lost very quickly there or won very quickly there.
Exactly, and often when they've got there, whether they've won or lost quickly, there's just not been much time available. You know, they've had to win quickly, and I think that's an interesting factor here. Like, there are just so many more slowdown points, even if you don't fully stop a team, and that seems to be a lot of your, you know, if you're thinking of like your grand strategy across the whole map, that's actually something you potentially factor in. It's not so much about, okay, well, we're going to sit pretty on this point on A and either we stop the cart there or we don't. It's more, we're going to keep scrapping and skirmishing across A and burn as much time off the clock as possible.
And out of 8 total attacking minutes that you get on this map as well, 630 of that.
7 of them.
630 that you'll play on both A and B. The last 130 is what you get for going into C, and so it'll be interesting to see if teams can really push through B quite quickly to give themselves more of an opportunity to actually finish the map.
There we go. We have Cyclone Coupling starting on the defense. They are going to be running a 3-3 variation. It's going to be Somber Goats and Talon. They're actually playing essentially standard here.
Yep, they've gone back to the same lineup they used for Busan, which was Patapan and Bashful. Muse taking a snooze early, but Talon Esports, they want to get aggressive against the same matchup.
How long have you been holding on to that one for? Cyclone Coupling now getting slowly but surely pushed back, but It is, like we said, a lot about slowing down Talon if they can keep them at bay. Another sleep lands on Gogoro. This is the kind of stuff they want. They're just not actually slowing Talon down, really.
And the member I'm really looking at here is once again Lee Chang-soon on the Sombra, much like was on Busan. He's got to be the key. He has to get his EMP up. He's got to get a lot of charge. With GCGG having the nano, should be using it now.
Yeah, that's a really huge advantage to have. Shatter does come out from Muse, but it goes straight into Fallen's shield. Red Fox goes down to the counter trade, but Talon's members are just all too low. Patapan is going to try and carry the team on his back here. Sports could be a bit of a factor. Lee Chang-soon's EMP to help stop any follow-up, flush the Shatter out for Fallen. It's a little bit dicey, actually. Talon have started to reinforce, and Patapan still hasn't died. None of these low members have died. Talon are pulling this one back from the brink. Gogori gets back in the mech. The supports have rejoined, and now they're starting to kill off the members of Cyclone Coupling. This is absurd.
I gotta say, you know, you mentioned that Patapan has to put the team on his shoulders. He might be 16, but man, that guy is broad. And for Talon right now, they're able to just push through so quickly. 5:02 going into
filled out the last year.
I know, I mean, it's a growing lad. And Talon now, they really want to challenge us. How quick of a time can they get on Havana? Because like we mentioned, most teams don't usually finish the map, and if they do, it happens in overtime or barely at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you can push through the distillery here in a good time, this is where a lot of the slowdown happens. If the cart does ever stop, it tends to be at a couple of points along here. But, I mean, Talon have done the right thing. They moved in early and took the high ground because of where that A fight took place. And now pushing forward, they are in a grab for now, but there's the sound barrier to answer it. Shatter out from Muse again. Sound barrier from Red Fox to answer. This is where Mango Jai has a slight edge over Cyclone Coupling. They have a Transcendence and they commit it now so that they can keep the pressure on.
Three-man Shatter.
It's a decent one, but still no one goes down because the Transcendence was still running, and MG's got a good firing line. Now he's stuck in a grab, though, and that is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
What a melee that was as well. Both teams just running at each other using all their ultimates. And it's Lee Chang-soon that I'm, again, keeping my eyes on so vividly because he's so close to the EMP. And as he gets the EMP, the last couple of 90% come through. Talon Esports clean up the rest of Cyclone Coupling. If they live for like 3 seconds longer, the EMP would have landed. That could have been the fight for Cyclone Coupling instead.
Yeah, Lee Chang-soon, but not now, is what that seems to keep being. But, oh, wow, that is disgusting. I was about to say they finally got the engage they need, and they sort of robbed Bashful of a sneaky stun onto Fallen, but instead, Gogora answers it back with a self-destruct, and off the back of that alone, Talon, I mean, they just seem to throw Cyclone Coupling into the fray. 5 minutes just about remaining for C.
So this is now going to be, I would say, definitely the fastest Havana we've ever seen. It would be somewhat impossible for Talon to kind of lose here. Cyclone Coupling can't really even defend up close. The two areas you really want to defend here is basically the attacker spawn or your own spawn. This entire open section, you can't really attack on at all.
Mango Jai just killed GCGG, and that's with the Transcendence on him. I mean, look, he'll be back up by the time the fight breaks out in earnest here, but this just gives Talon so much free space. They can sit way far forward of the cart. Cyclone Coupling are not going to leave this fortress.
So, well, it's been a lot of free things in this match so far for Talon Esports. The space is one of the first, and this is now for Cyclone Coupling, their opportunity to maybe stop this cart at least momentarily.
Oh, I was so ready for Fallen to go over the edge there, just for the name. But at any rate, we're going to get the angle here as CQB. They're just going to march on
Big Shatter.
But they can't quite follow it up. Good answer from GCGG with the Transcendence. Now the other way around. Fallen throws his Shatter out. Transcendence from Mango Jai. They get double value from that because it also gets to eat up a lot of MG's grab. Patapan's grab, on the other hand, there was no defensive ultimate in answer to it. And with that, Talon have broken Cyclone Coupling potentially for the last time.
And this is why most teams don't take the fight on the bridge, by the way. You can see the amount of boobs coming through. You lose anyone off the bridge, they're out of the fight. They don't return to the fight for a long time, or long enough, it seems, that they don't get to affect it. So Talon Esports approaching the final section now. This has to be, for Cyclone Coupling, where they can defend quite well. It's a very easy to defend area, but they need to play their ultimates properly.
Lee Chang-soon needs to get a high value EMP. Fallen did not get anything out of the Shatter. They go for a tempo sound barrier, and then they commit the EMP. CQB didn't get hit by that, which means no sound barrier to keep the members alive right now, and Mango Jai has gone down, so Talon, I just back off here.
Muse actually lives, and that's such a big deal. If Muse goes down, Cyclone Coupling absolutely win. They roll over the rest.
Okay, I think he's alive.
Yes, because well, it's not a death pit. It's just it's just a waste of time.
Just because the angle, I thought he had maybe gone into the drink, but he is going to be fine.
Drinking that rum.
I mean, that's not what the sea is made of.
I know, but it's
Cuba.
Don
Don't let the
Robotico.
stereotypes.
That's the reference I'm making.
I'm aware. Grab out onto MG. Incidentally finds GCGG. Both are going to get drilled down, and Talon have already kind of made their way in now. Orb of Discord on Fallen. Eventually that shield's got to come away, and there it is. He goes down. Only a couple of members remaining on this point. Talon looking to march it through to the middle of the fortress. 20-player kill streak for CQB. That was incredible.
Yep, and this is now, you see it as an example as well, a very dominant one-sided affair for the most part. Okay, there was a little bit of scuffles around C as you would expect, and you also see the desperation there for Cyclone coupling where they get this EMP, they kill Mango Giant, they know Muse is low, so they're trying to run after him. That ends up being that penultimate counter push that costs them that C defense, but even despite how generally one-sided it was, it's only 213 on the time bank for what is a super one-sided game. And now we talk about Rialto as a map that's very difficult to cap. I think Havana might even be more difficult to cap.
And yet, Talon do it with 2 minutes to spare. And honestly, I don't even think they're going to need that 2 minutes. It could be no minutes for all I care. I wouldn't be surprised if they find somewhere to just fully stop Cyclone coupling short.
I think Talon as well, I don't know, I wanted to use the word merciful, but that's probably not accurate because they're playing attack a lot here. They're allowing everyone to see the maps and to see all the attacks. They get to play more Overwatch. That's the thing. They're generous, but not necessarily for others, just a lot for themselves. They just want to play more of the map themselves.
For us, for the viewers, you know, we get to see more of this beautiful scenic locale.
Because they could be defending first.
Honestly,
full holding A every time, and we just don't get to see anything.
Honestly, the Cuban Bureau of Tourism should be paying Talon because this is an excellent advertisement for Havana.
Yes.
This looks beautiful. I want to go there.
What is it?
It's brewery. It's rum. It's a distillery.
I would definitely trust Omnix to brew my alcohol.
We didn't have a massive war against them or anything. They're not going to poison the rum. No,
it's not that. I just don't know if Omnix would be.
Do they have a good sense of taste?
Yeah, that's what I'm really asking.
It's actually just motor oil, like literal motor oil. Talon on the defense. What's this? What are they planning?
And it's going to be the third-ish defense here. They want to defend this corner in this kind of outside section, so any hope of a completed hold onto A, which seems to be on the cards so far for this entire series, will probably happen somewhere around here.
Certainly not just going to let the cart move. Cyclone coupling were gracious enough to do that for Talon. Talon will not repay the favor, and now they push in, they get aggressive. Don't quite find the kill, but they do force Cyclone coupling back.
That's actually a big loss. That's actually going to allow Cyclone coupling to get quite aggressive.
Yikes. And now suddenly it goes the other way around again. They push in because they had good reason to. They lose GCGG in the push, and then they end up in utter disarray. They get absolutely destroyed.
And this is one of those moments where it feels like one step forward and then many steps backwards. Sadly, they get this mech, which is, again, high value. It allows them to get a decent advantage in the actual 6v6 or 6 versus 5.5. For Talon Esports, their counter trade's so effective that it just doesn't really matter to them. And now you're looking back at the EMP, about 55% lead Chang soon. Just again, not quick enough. They still needed this faster.
And Talon's ult charge is just so good all across the board. Grab already available from Patapan. Cannon's going to be available from Muse. Mango Giant now with Transcendence. I mean, they've got all the toys here. Now they're going to commit the grab first. That gets GCGG's Transcendence pretty predictably so far. This is where Talon can just lean into the advantage. That's a big shatter. That should be some easy pickings right now. Fallen with buff forward. They don't pick up any of these members. Yeah, really nice reaction there from Cyclone coupling.
And this is where the EMP can come into play. Translocate it in. That actually fakes out a super quick Transcendence, so kind of outplayed there. Props to Lee Chang-soon.
Yeah, smorgasbord here for Cyclone coupling. It's your pick, right? Pay what you want. They can use the EMP, they can use the grab. They choose grab, and I like that choice as well. The EMP can get you more value later on down the line if you need it, and they will break the hold that Talon had over them.
Kind of panic fingers by Talon just a little bit here because they've lost this early hold. They're going to have to rely on this back section, and Cyclone coupling have the kind of momentum pushing through that they are unlikely to be stopped at A. Now this is where they probably don't get full held anymore.
Would have to be a pretty miraculous defense here for Talon. Stranger things have happened though, but Patapan already dead as the EMP comes out. This is exactly why you wanted to preserve it from the previous fight. They've done a good job of taking the time to charge up other ultimates as well. So in the macro game, Talon are actually massively behind right now.
And Patapan goes down first, and what can I tell you? The kid's got sore shoulders now. He's been doing it for 4 maps in a row. But Talon Esports no longer going to be that full hold on A. Cyclone coupling comfortably pushing out onto B. comfortably would be a bit of a stretch, but they managed to get there. B is the real test, though, because this is where most teams will not complete the map. This is where they get held usually.
Gora just looking to create some high ground. This is good. Talon have at least taken his positioning, but Cyclone Coupling do have the ultimates for the fight.
QB now looking for his Mango.
Oh, brilliant pick.
No more for Mango Jai.
Nope. Fallen now looking for a shatter angle potentially. Ooh, that could have been the opportunity actually with the stun on Muse, but instead...
Now you got many opportunities.
Yeah, decides to take a charge and kill Muse for good. And now, like you said, way more opportunities to use the shatter. Indeed, not even have to use the shatter, which you could argue is even better.
And most importantly, they maintain, or rather they gain control of this brewery section. They get past the bridge. They move around the
distillery.
They get around the very difficult corner here, which means they can fight on the low ground. They don't have to worry about this sort of high ground dance anymore. And for Cyclone Coupling, it's kind of difficult because they do have to push into Talon territory.
Talon, they do have a lot of ultimates here, but Cyclone Coupling were able to preserve a lot.
All of it.
That's the thing. Lee Chang soon coming up on an EMP could honestly be the big game changer here. Double grabs out, which means only one Transcendence. Mango Jai felt he didn't have to commit his. Now uses it instead for a tempo play, self-destruct board, and they charge on in. Double shatters either side.
That's fine.
Sound barrier out of Red Fox is not enough to keep these members alive, unfortunately, and well, when all the cards were thrown down, Talon had a royal flush.
This is 5-man shatter from Muse, and after an EMP was used by Lee Chang soon as well. And it's like, okay, that's mostly ultimates. That was really the big guns from Cyclone Coupling, and Talon fired back so quickly.
With that, they regain control of the cart and of the high ground in the distillery here. And you've already got Patapan leading on Rav percentage by a massive margin, I might add. So Talon already looking good to maybe complete the hold somewhere in here.
And it's another free grab because there's no Diva on the other side, so he finds a good one. It's going to get laid on a lot.
Yeah, this is members very much surrounded. Great charge in from Muse. Absolutely blasts apart Cyclone Coupling, who only get the one kill back right now as the rest have to turn to the hills and run.
That was going to be one of those moments where it's a guaranteed free grab play, free win play as well, because no support ultimates available. GCGG did not have the Transcendence in time. Sombra, Lee Chang Soon is still waiting for more charge, doesn't get much charge at all during that engagement. No Diva to stop it. Talon Esports just pick it up for free, and now 1 minute remaining on this defense until the hold is complete. And for Cyclone Coupling, need to find a win condition ASAP.
Now, an interesting position to be in, to say the least. The shatter from Muse didn't get much done, but often they don't, so that's no surprise. But again, Patapan. Oh man, MG goes down. I was going to say Patapan was already about to catch MG and grab percentage. Now again, it'll be an almost free grab. And that's if they even need it at this rate. They're just out fragging.
Thought about taking Gagora for a ride there. Not going to be the case. MG will get this. GCGG does also have a defense versus Patapan, so both sides have the appropriate plays and counter plays available, but that just doesn't bode well for Cyclone Company because they can't afford to be in a neutral state. They need to be in an advantageous state, and that's been quite rare for them in this entire series.
Even if they win, even if both teams throw down all their ultimates and Cyclone Coupling win, they'll only have a minute and a half to push through the last stretch anyway and grab as they try and come out. They're not even on the payload. Absolutely brilliant play. The lack of Diva really helped drive that home there for Talon. Just smart, play to the objective. Don't need to win the fight. Yep, you've already finished the map.
And that's the kind of thing as well when you see the kind of rotation coming through. This time it's Cyclone Coupling wanting to go through the side. They didn't go through the main section anymore, and it's, you know, the grab's going to come. Patapan charges that one up so quickly, locks them all up. The rest is history. 4-0 in the series, dropping only 2 points the entire way.
Which is absolutely insane when you think about it. I mean, the 1 point dropped on Busan is almost like that's the more unusual one in a sense, in that, like, look, on an escort map, yeah, it's very unusual you get a full hold on the first point anyway. Giving up 1 point there, whatever, that's normal. Giving up a whole stage of Busan suddenly seems like the biggest weakness that Talon have exhibited, and even then, it's a minor one.
Yeah, some of these just feel like Talon just slightly misstepped, or some of them they got a little bit overconfident, because when you're winning quite a lot, sometimes it's the discipline that really needs to be checked, because that's the part where you're winning too much and suddenly you get punished for doing so. It's moments like Patapan could have kept the perfect KDA if he didn't push up on Temple Noob. It's just very small things like that. And again, the Talon are really only doing small things where you can nitpick them for, because otherwise, across the board, they're winning so handedly, it just doesn't seem like there's much going wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team to be proud of, right? It's the team that represented the Pacific region quite recently, and they're showing that they don't want that to be squandered, right? They want to maintain that pedigree of, yes, we are the best team in the Pacific region. In fact, we've even said they look even better now than they did both last season and through Pacific Showdown. Yeah. So that's all Talon want to do here. They just want to look better and better and better to the point where they're leaps and bounds ahead of the rest of the region. They want to set the benchmark for what is possible out of the region.
Yep, and only one team gets to go from here to the gauntlet as well, so whoever ends up going has to be by and far the best team. They have to prove that they are definitely head and shoulders above everyone else, and so far Talon is certainly leading that regard, and the better they look, the more the more convincing they are against their opponents, I would say, the better it bodes for the overall greater impact of them then possibly going to Gauntlet again at the end of the year.
Exactly, and I mean, that is also the goal for them, obviously. I mean, it's the goal for every team, right, in this region. The winner gets to take that Gauntlet seed. That's what all these teams are inherently playing for, and the playoffs can make just as much of a difference. But right now, we are looking at a situation where it's, look, who's going to realistically take down Talon? Right now, Talon are a shoo-in. It's not done yet, but they're a shoo-in. Is anybody going to disrupt that? And so far, the answer's been no.
Yeah, and we do maybe get a glimpse of a potential another team that could do that, which is Nova MS, who are still yet to play their match this week. That happens after this one, but that's the only other team, right? Because we have to look at the entire, the entire ladder here of all the 8 teams, and we even had a discussion about Cyclone Coupling. Okay, they don't look good versus Talon Esports, but who would look good versus Talon Esports? Right. You swap Cyclone Coupling out with any other team, and likely this is the same result.
Exactly, and you mentioned Nova there, like they are the team that could maybe hold a candle to Talon. And they have the benefit right now of playing them in the very final week of the regular season. Nova MS get as much time as possible to power up, and it's going to be against opponents like Xavier Esports, who they play next, where they're going to have to be making that power up.
Well, you already got your preview here, you already got your teaser, so you want to make sure you stick around for this one. Our final match of the week will be coming up soon at Xavier versus Nova MS. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.